Okay, this is a follow-up to a video that I did a couple months ago where I replaced my standard links, which are these, with lowering links, which are these aftermarket ones, which are a little bit lower. But you might notice something here. It's a little bit of scratching, meaning that when these were installed on the motorcycle, when the bike was at full rest, there would be scratching, which is the lowest part of the bike. Now, this, I was like, maybe that's just how it is. Maybe I'm riding the bike too rough. But I got a comment by one of my loyal followers on YouTube telling me that I installed these upside down. So from the factory, when I purchased this motorcycle, it was like this. So I was like, dude, you're crazy. Like the heavy bearing, needle bearing part was on the bottom. Like that's how I bought it. That's how most of them are online. Then I read the manual and the manual said it's like this. Then I looked at the thing and it said this is the top. So why was it installed upside down from the factory? And the reason is it doesn't fit. This will not fit in there. And you would think that all I need to do is, oh, you just need to stretch it out. It's like, okay, cool. So I grab my hammer and I pull apart, I push it apart, but it still doesn't fit. Now you'll notice that I already did the other side. You'll notice that I already did the other side. I actually installed it how it was supposed to be installed, which is with the needle bearings on top, not without a lot of hammering. But I also had to pull out my Dremel and actually make room for it because it was starting to deform the metal up here. And there was actually, I don't know if you can see it here, but up here there are welds. There are welds in here. Let me see if I can get a good angle. The welds got in the way of the actual, lowering link. So I had to grind away the welds, meaning that from the factory, whoever put together this bike just didn't realize that they go the right way, or they were just lazy and you're like, you know what? We can put them upside down. No one cares. But you will care because you'll start scraping the bottom. And I can tell you for a fact that the OEM one was installed upside down because there was scraping, well, at least on the other one. So anyways, we're gonna fix it. So first thing I'm gonna do, I got something in my eye. I regret it so much. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is basically start stretching it out. Fortunately, I have a hammer that actually fits right here, so I can squeeze the hammer and start stretching this out. So I already did the other side and I'm just going to show you what I did, because let's say you need to install these the right way and for whatever reason they're not fitting. You can do some light stretching. Hold on, I'm just turning on my screen. I need the display turns off. It's really hard working with one hand, so I'm gonna put this away and stretch it out. Okay, we finally were able to get this to go in just a little bit, but as you'll see, it's not going in all the way by hand. So we're just gonna hammer a little bit down here and then see where it binds up. So what I'm expecting to do is have that bushing in there leave a mark, and then I'll know what's holding it up. And then here's fine, here's fine. I already did some grinding. So yeah. I'm doing this with one hand to show you, but basically I'm grabbing it with one hand here and I'm hammering until this starts to disappear. If it stops, I'll show you. Okay, so I did some grinding, some hammering, and you see that shiny spot right here. I'm gonna feel it here, right there. That is where it's binding up. So that's where you gotta pull your Dremel and start grinding it. So again, I started doing some hammering. I put this up here. It went as far as it could. I hammered it just a little bit more, and that is where it's hanging up. So it doesn't matter how much you spread these apart, because this right here is gonna be the strongest part of the bracket. So you just gotta grind enough, very little for it to fit. All right, so pull out the Dremel and we'll start grinding away. And it didn't fit. So you'll see that I did take two, and right off the bat, again, that top part, that's another part that's hanging up. So I gotta grind that, and you just gotta keep doing trial and error until it fits. I don't know if you can see it, but that second line from the hole, that's where it keeps hanging up. And success. It literally took 4 times for me to do it. I probably edited in the afterwards. But basically, with a little bit of wiggling, yeah, this will fit. I pulled it out so I could show you. Hold on, let me pull it out. I have to clean it, so hold on. And while we're here, let's just take this out and clean it. Make sure you have a clean surface, you know. And then basically what I like to do is I just pump a little extra grease in there and clean out the old one. It's nothing complicated. Just put a little bit in there. Mostly I use the grease to protect the surfaces because there's no paint here, and you're not gonna, you don't need a lot. This already had some fresh grease from when I swapped them out months ago. I put some fresh grease in there because I was like, maybe I'll go back to them one day, and I did. Also, some people have told me I talk too much during my videos, but you know what? I don't care. Those people don't watch my videos anyways. Okay, always clean the dust. And if you're feeling, you know, generous, go ahead and apply some extra grease in there. Take the last nib, slather it on, just for good luck. It doesn't really do anything, but I think it protects the paint. So anyways, again, you'll notice it barely fits. So I have to hammer it in. Let me put the camera somewhere. All right, we're gonna hammer it in. Camera. Yeah. Anyways, we made it in. So you'll see that clean hole in there, and it should go in by hand. You shouldn't hammer in the bolt ever because you might hurt the threads. And then basically what I'm going to do is just gonna wiggle this, and it goes in my hand, and it's perfect. Now the bolt goes in my hand. I'm gonna do some more lube on here just to get some fresh one. I always think we put extra grease on them is to protect the parts, not really to Here. My coffee came in. Thank you. Oh, I would not use that cup with these hands. Can you bring me steel? I'm sorry, I'm being picky. It's gonna be hard to wash off yeah, no. Okay, we're not going to tighten it that much because we have to move this. So as you remember last time, we had a jack and we just have to adjust the bike. So we either have to lift the rear wheel or we have to lower it depending on what it is. I have a feeling we have to lift it. Let's find out. So yeah, it actually follows common sense. Lower the bike tire to lower the link. Go figure. All right, well, that's about the end of the video. I'm just gonna install the final one after I clean this and grease it up a bit. And you just learned how to basically put the links the right way up. To be honest, I think the only damage done is you might scrape the bottom of your lowering links, as we've learned here. So instead of having this big old thing, you have a little one. I think the orientation of the needle bearings doesn't matter too much, but I might be wrong because I know nothing. All right, have a good day, guys. I hope you've learned a valuable lesson about reading the manual first, and that this actually says where it goes. This is the top part. Go figure. Also, in case I wasn't very clear, this is the needle bearing side. The needle bearings are those little things inside, and this is the normal, not needle bearing side. These don't say anything like on top, but they are offset just a bit. I don't think that matters. It's just style, but I like these, that they're lightweight. I wish that the OEM ones were lightweight like this, but a little bit of weight never hurt anyone, especially after so much weight reduction that I've done so far. Also, anyone who's still watching, I want to show you the modifications I made to my bike. This is a dual sport. I wanted not an adventure bike. I wanted a dual sport because I'm not a fan of having so much weight. I did a tail tuck. I got rid of the light, but I kept the OEM ones because these are nice and bright. And I just want to take it off-road. I ride this on the road sometimes, so that's why I kept a lot of the lights. And I got myself the aftermarket brackets, but they didn't fit very well over this, and I don't want to damage these or hurt these, so I kind of modified it to work with these. So this is the OEM light, but this is an aftermarket bracket that I kind of hodgepodge made. This is a proof of concept. I'm not going to keep these brackets because they're not very stable. I wish they were, I made them as stable as I could, but they're not designed for this. They're designed for a lighter, they're designed for a lighter headlight. And then I don't like the angles that I have here. It kind of looks like they're just bending inwards. So for now, this will work fine. Turns out you can ride your motorcycle without the speedometer and the cluster. I like it. I like how it looks that way because it has more of a retro feel, how motorcycles used to be. Hola.